All right, there we go. All right. All right, apologize for that. All right, so what I want to go over, first and foremost, if you saw on the flyer that we put out, the purpose of this ritual, and again, why, as I said earlier, I want people to understand what they're doing and why they're doing it, not just doing it because it's a thing to do or etc. It was for working with the feminine energy in the black adept, okay? What we were basically doing was accessing that energy. If you listen, when we do invocations, there's invocation. Everybody know the difference between an invocation and an evocation, right? Does everybody know? Don't just shake your head. Make sure you know. All right. When you're invoking something, you're drawing the energy to you. When you're evoking something, you're embodying the energy. So some people call evoking, I don't like to use the word possession because that's spooky and it's kind of religious. So when we're doing the invocations, it's important to really focus in on what the words are saying, because that whole ritual is centered around contacting what we call your Agatha demon, or your demon, your personal demon, whatever you want to call it. The feminine energy, as we were talking about earlier, is, in my estimation, one-sided and misunderstood, because it's always portrayed as just the female, the nurturer, the mothering aspect, and that's part of it. I'm not saying that that's not, but we act as if there's no aggressive masculine side, because when we're talking masculine and feminine on the spiritual, don't confuse that with what we identify with gender on the physical realm. Like we identify as male and female, and we tend to always look at how the person identifies in their physical gender, that that's necessarily what the nature and characteristics of gender are, and that's not true. Gender, when tapping in on the subjective realm, you will find out, if you're working correctly with archetypes and deities, the feminine deities are much more aggressive, much more masculine, and more warrior by nature. And again, I've said this before, the male deities are a little more passive and feminine. So we can't confuse the two. That's why we go into the sacred wisdom of Tahuti and really study the 7 principles, especially the doctrine of gender. It will break that down and explains that, okay? So before we get into, anybody have any questions about the ritual, something that we did in the ritual, something that took place in the ritual, something you heard? Anybody have any questions on that?
So far as the chants, what chants mean?
Which ones? Just the chants in general?
The first 2 ones. One was
Okay. Okay, so what you're basically doing is, again, you're connecting. We made sure we connected Hathor and Aset. We were connecting that aspect of what they represent with our Agatha demon. That's what the chants represent. Then we used the 3rd chant, which is to connect it to the source, not God. That's why I said the source. Not God in the sense of a religious figure, some mysterious figure that's piecing it all together. The source is what runs through you, right? Then we followed it up with the last chant, which was saying a representation of the black flame set, but you finished it with Kepera, I've come into being. You understand? That's what Kepera means. I come into awareness of who I really am. Not, I want to make this clear, not with who you think you are, because we all spend our entire life trying to portray who we think we are, and we get lost in the real journey, which is who you really are. So remember, there's who you think you are, there's who people see you as, right? And then there's who you really are. See, we worry about the first 2 all the time. We're worried about, we've created see, what this ritual also does is it sheds away all of the illusions about yourself when you work these type of rituals. So it makes you come, this is why when you're doing it, like you described how you felt, this is why when you do them, people have a different varying degree of emotion. Some people get energized, some people get sad, some people get emotional, some people get happy, some people just get a combination of all those things. The reason why they experience that is because what we call the fake self is dissipating. You understand? It's when that's removed, you start to tap into your real self, your real emotions, who you really are. That's the purpose of the ritual. And that's a good question with the chants. So the chants, which in a lot of these rituals, they call them hymns, but they're actually chants. It's the same, really same thing. What they basically do is activate. Remember, like each one, when you were doing a portion of the ritual, it said to focus on this part of yourself, to focus on that, because those energies are connected to those areas and aspects in your life. You understand? So when you set up an altar, or when you're working rituals or your altar, when you look at Aset and you look at Hathor, that's what you're supposed to be focusing on. You understand? Not, and what the hardest thing people wrestle with on this path, and I keep saying this, they still approach it with a worship mindset. You understand? Because as I've said before, what difference is if you say you study Kemetic information or spirituality and you're bowing and groveling in front of statues? How does that differ from a Catholic going into a Catholic church and bowing and groveling in front of saints and icons? So it still creates the illusion that you're worshiping something. You're trying to connect to something that's not real or tangible. You understand what I'm saying? So when you're working these rituals, and we're going to be doing a lot of these moving forward, when you're working these rituals, you're really supposed to be making connection with your true self. You should be progressing and growing. Go ahead.
So you think that once we drop the worshiping aspect of it, people have that type of mindset,
Yeah.
kind of like jumpstart and shortcut your path to self-realization pretty much?
Big time. Now, as simple as you worded that, and it's beautiful,
Yeah.
the problem is it's just not as easy as that. Not for some.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, you're there. So, and I know you as you made that statement, the problem is I've seen so many people come from, well, it could be Ifa, it could be Yoruba, it could be, again, the Kemetic conscious circle. And this part of Egypt is never taught because it's always presented in a religious context. Like, you still have people out there focusing on, well, the Heru story is the real story of Jesus. Who gives a shit?
Yeah.
You understand? Because why are you still focused on that? Because now what you've done is replaced what you're saying has been keeping us mentally enslaved, and you just replaced it with something covered with chocolate.
Yeah.
You understand? So now we're like, why do we still got to cling on to the Jesus thing? It's just like, if you want the devil to disappear in your religious ideology, just stop talking about it. But the more you say, you do things centered around eliminating the devil, right? You give it life and power. We on this path know there's no such thing as the devil. You understand? It's just those that are ignorant classify energies and separate them in good and bad. We know on this path there's no such thing as good and bad. It's just varying degrees of vibration and energy. So it's hard to get somebody to perceive that because they still can't accept the fact that they don't have full control of everything that's going on around them. You understand? Because then here comes the next question. People will say stupid shit like, when something good happens to them, they'll go, "Oh, praise God, I'm blessed." Right? This shit kills me.
The devil is a liar.
Right? Yeah, the devil is a liar. Or an athlete will do an interview on TV, a boxer, right after he knocks somebody out, or any sport. You ever hear them say, "I want to thank my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ," right? You hear this bullshit, right? Did you ever hear a boxer get knocked out and thank Jesus? Right? They never go, "Well, I just want to thank my Lord and Savior for getting my ass kicked tonight." They don't do that. Just that shows you the sickness in the mindset. Now, when we present to them, you can go into your religious Bible, and it says in the book of Isaiah, the 45th chapter, it says, "I am the Lord your God. I create good, I create evil. I create light, I create darkness. I, the Lord God, do all these things." So in their own Bible, God is taking responsibility for this so-called evil. But they don't see that part. See, we on this path accept everything that happens to us. We don't differentiate. You understand? Because if a plane crashes, right, to show you the mental slavery, people get on a plane, praise the Lord, I survived, right? But what about the other people that died in the plane? Didn't the same God kill those people too? And then we get, then you get the spookism. The Lord works in mysterious ways. When they don't have an answer, then it's the Lord works in mysterious ways. All of this is mental slavery. And I tell you this, mental slavery is worse than any form of slavery, beyond physical slavery, because why we're in the situation we're in now, there's no more physical slavery. There's mental slavery, right? You see all this bullshit going on with protests and football, the flag and brutality. It's all because it's here now. Because now they know they can't, look, we're not in a day and age where they can't come, I mean, they'll try, but they can't come and round people up. But they know that's not the way they're attacking this thing now. Look how the country is divided on this whole flag thing, which really, in essence, the whole issue is getting lost. It's not about the flag or the military. It's supposed to be about police brutality and injustice. But personally, me, I'm on both sides of the fence with this because I don't care what people say. There are people, regardless what frame of mind they were in, there are people that sacrifice their lives in the military, whether you like that or not. Black, white, Chinese, Spanish. The thing is, we're sitting here bitching and complaining, but we couldn't bitch and complain in most other countries. You understand? You couldn't voice your opinion in most other countries. You get persecuted. You don't even have religious freedom in some other countries. Now, granted, I'm not saying there's nothing wrong here. We have issues here. Don't get me wrong. But compared to what's going on in other places in the world, all I say is to the people that, and I say this, look, I used to be on that kid. If it's about your country is so great, because really, if we said everybody wherever you're from, everybody that's not from America go home, there would be nobody here. Because nobody that's in this country really is a native of America, besides what we call the Native Americans, not the Indians. The Native Americans, it's a difference. Okay? So we got to be careful of what we're protesting, what we're saying, and how we're saying it. Because everybody sits here and talks about as if Africa is the greatest place to live and there's so much liberation and freedom. Most of Africa is war-torn. There's civil war going on. Islam and Christian. You go to Liberia right now, you think that people are Christianized and Islamanized here? I've been to Liberia. It's one of the worst countries you could ever go to. I'm talking about they practice cannibalism. They eating people. You understand? We act like this shit don't exist. Because people that are on this go back to Africa kick as if we're going to go back to the motherland and everything's going to be fine. We're going to be running through nature, holding hands. Obviously, you don't know much about Africa. Now, there's some highly technological places in Africa, that are not, I'm not saying the whole continent is like that, but first and foremost, they look at it like this. If you go there, you better be coming with a plan. You better be coming to bring something to the table because you're not taking their jobs. So it's not like, what I'm saying is, it's not like you can get on a plane and go, I'm going to get a plane ticket, find an apartment, and look for work. It's not how it works there. If you're not bringing something to boost the economy, and you're taking from the economy, they look at you as the enemy.
Yeah. That's true. Even in the Caribbean too. If you leave the United States and go to the Caribbean, you go back there to look for a job. People don't want you to come there home. They want you to bring something home
To the table.
so that they could benefit. They expect that.
Exactly. Now, I'm bringing this up to say, we got to stop finding methods to shift everything away from ourselves. That's why I'm bringing this up. See, if you really know what's going on around you, it's not, you remember Rakim said, it's not where you're from, it's where you're at, right? I always reflect back on that. It don't matter where you're at, it's where you're coming from. Because when you take that escapism mentality, see, people think that they're going to leave and run from their problems here and then go somewhere else as if the problems which are self-centered and started with you, it's not going to leave you if you're here. If you're in Africa, if you're in wherever you're at, those problems are not going to leave you. Because you're going to find out you can keep running and hiding. Well, there's one person you can't hide from, and that's yourself. So this is why we get involved in all these groups and religions and organizations, because we think it's escape from everyday reality. We think if we join some group that's promising salvation somewhere down the road, that we're good. We just bought out a one-way ticket to salvation. That gives us a pass. I ain't got to do nothing no more. I just got to follow the rules. I just got to be obedient. That's not what this is about. So this ritual is about connecting with your real self. Now the question is, and this is, you don't have to answer this, this is a rhetorical question. The question is, you should be asking yourself after you really sit back and contemplate these rituals, what is your real self? Engage it to what you thought your real self was. Because I can admit, traveling down this path for years, I've evolved away from so much shit that I thought that was me. or I thought that that's what I should be doing, or I thought that's what I was connected to. But this made me realize that sometimes, you just do things because you do them. You know what I mean? You just think it's the right thing to do, or it becomes mundane to the point it becomes a regular routine.
That's a question I was going to ask. How do you know what the real you is?
Real simple.
Because it's like you find yourself working and you find that you're making so much different change in your life. And it's like you can't come to a different place.
Here's the telltale tip and clue how you know. It's not the same for everybody, but you gauge what you're doing by the results, okay? That's how you know. If you're doing shit, you ain't getting results, and you're constantly struggling, then you need to do a self-inventory of yourself and realize there's something you're doing, either you're wasting your time, it's not the right thing for you to do, and you're invested in something mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, but you're not getting the results. So that right there are all the signs that you need to start trying something else, looking in a different direction. You understand? Let me give you an example. And I've said this before. I'm sure we all know people I know a lot of brothers in the Nation of Islam for years, going back to when I was a young teenager. I could go back to New York today. There's elders in their 60s, 70s, still there. And as much as I love them to death, they're like zombies. Because they're just so accustomed to doing the same thing. They're afraid of change. They know and recognize that nothing has really changed. They're doing the same shit. Nothing drastically has improved in their life. Most are at a standstill. Some have even taken steps back, and things have gotten worse for them. But there's this false sense of loyalty sometimes we have. We feel like because we belong to something for so long that we have to be loyal to it. The only person you have to be loyal to is yourself. That's first and foremost, because nobody's going to look out for you but you.
You're right about this, because when I was down in New York just recently, I was down in Atlantic. You know the masjid right down in Atlantic there?
In Brooklyn?
In Brooklyn,
Yeah.
So I just went to use the restroom. And to be honest, when I walk in there and you look at the people in there preparing themselves to pray, you could just see their stagnation. In that, even though they're trying and they're struggling, they're trying to do something, you can see that they're stuck.
Yeah.
I don't know, but it's like, I had to get out of there because to me it was kind of like depressing.
Well, when you're dealing with religious people, unfortunately, especially Islam. Now, again, I don't know what kind of mosque you're in. It could be Sunni, it could be Shiite, I don't know. They vary in their fanaticism, for lack of a better word. Like just stupid type of shit. Like what they were doing wudu, ablution.
They have some different rooms that are going and they do this prayers and
Well, they're washing up for prayer.
A lot of different.
Well,
Yeah, they wash themselves in there.
yeah, they call it wudu. They're making ablution for prayer,
Yeah.
and they're getting themselves clean for prayer. It's just all this little, all these little, anything that has a list of restrictions, the difference between the left-hand path and other paths, there aren't all those restrictions. See, there's all these guidelines, rules, regulations, you have to follow it this way. If you don't do it to this T, you're not this and that, you're not authentic. It doesn't matter if it's Christianity, Islam, Judaism, or whatever religion. There's so-called some type of model they've created that if you don't follow that model, you're not considered, quote-unquote, authentic. Like, who gives somebody the right to say that there's a certain way? Who created the way to become ordained and be a reverend? Who created this curriculum that you have to go to theology school, take X amount of this and that, and there's these certain criterias that identify you as a reverend or a pastor or an imam or a sheikh, right? All of that is for control, because the elitists that created those systems created it because they only had the tendency to bring a certain level of people up to that level. Because if everybody was raised to that level, there would be no need for it. You understand? Because there would be no congregation. You understand? Because the congregation are the sheeple. You understand? Not people, they're the sheeple. So when you take a follower mentality, when you want to follow something or somebody, that's what happens, what you saw. And the reason why, like you say, they look so stagnated and confused, They're more focused on if they're doing it right and not really focused on the ritual itself. You understand what I'm saying? Because when ritual is done correctly, it transforms you mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. But when you're just more focused on, am I doing it right? Am I going to be criticized? Am I following whatever dogma I belong to the right way? You're wasting your time and energy. So nothing is happening. There's no change. There's no transformation. You're not connecting to anything real. You understand? So stagnation kicks in. And this is why the hardest person to talk to is a person that thinks they're 100% right, but they're 100% wrong. They're the worst people to talk to. Because there's nothing you can say to them that's going to make them see anything any other way. And believe me, I know what you're talking about, the stagnation.
You know something just now when you're doing the ritual, and I was kind of doing something like visualizing in my mind, and as I was visualizing, I kind of see like the unfolding of a female, not a female, but females.
Females.
Yeah, like
right.
Different females were coming, and they were like shedding themselves, you know, like into different forms, and then it came to this final form of this female. It's like she had like a man haircut, like a short haircut, and it just unfolded into her until that like the person just get up, and that's the ball.
Well, let me tell you this, what happens in these rituals, and I'll tell you something that I experienced during this. Remember, you go back to some of the ancient orders, okay? You have what they call the felines, which are the females of ancient Egypt, and the canines, which are the males. The canines, when you go back to Anubis, the black jackal dog of the dead, you go back to Set. You also have the order of the black light, which is the order of Set. And what do these represent? When most of the men were being initiated, and the reason why you also access Hathor and the sexual energy, and why I said for male, this is how the male approaches it, not the female. The female is going to approach it totally different. The male approaches it when a lot of the rituals were being done in the temple. The daughters of Hathor would come in and dance sexually to try to distract the men. This was part of the initiation. You understand that? So while this was to test your willpower. I'm saying this because what you described in Saw, you say you described a group of females. Now I guaranteed if you would have stayed with that vision, it would have turned sexual. Trust me when I tell you. What happens is when we would be initiated in these orders, part of the ritual was they would come in dressed, sexual, beautiful, very distracting to someone that can't concentrate and focus. So while this was going on, there was suggestive dancing going on around the men. And it was a test. They did this also in the men priesthood. It was a test to see if they would focus on the task at hand or they would give in completely to their physical desires. Some did. You understand? I'm bringing that up because when you're accessing Hathor, the goddess of love, it should be gauging, because remember, there was two folds to that. Didn't say it was just about sex and lust. It was also to tap in and activate what you desire in every aspect of your life. See, there's twofold to it. I hope people caught that part. You caught that?
Yeah.
It said before we did the invocation, it mentioned being the goddess of love, the sexual aspect, but it also said, and to focus on what you're trying to accomplish. And what it's saying is, that same passion can be focused, and that passion and drive and desire can be used to accomplish something. That's the power of sexual energy, which also ties into working correct sex magic, not tantra magic, because tantric is more that, we're talking about real sex magic, power of the orgasm. So with Hathor, why I brought that up is, and again, red and black, we always mention these two colors, because black, we know what black represents in this path, the path of the occult. It has no boundaries. It has no limitations. It's the merging of all things in existence, especially when dealing with the spectrum and color. But we know it deals with the endless abyss, which has many different representations, the black flame, the subconscious mind, etc. Red represents the passion, the driving force. That's why most of the rituals you'll see red, black, and gold. Gold represents the royalty. In this path, those are the 3 central colors that are used in majority of the rituals we work, red, black, and gold. Now, there's other colors used for other things, but I'm saying on a wide scale level. So that same passion and desire that one may have sexually can be transitioned, and that energy can be refocused, utilized to accomplish a particular task. That's why it said that. Now, what I'm saying happens in a lot of these invocations. There's so many things that take place consciously, and there's so many things that are happening subconsciously.
Yeah.
You tapped into one of them. You were having an experience. What I saw when I was doing it, because there's a part in there that says Aset is the mistress of Set.
I was just gonna ask you about that. What is the woo, you just
Because
went in my head just then.
there is that in those texts. What other story is similar to that? Who was also a side mistress in the Ifa tradition that were warring? It was Oya and Shango, right? And okay, but Oshun was the one that always had Shango's attention, right? Remember, these characters are all the same, just as the stories got translated and passed down to different cultures. They just changed the names and the titles. So when you're reading that story, when you're reading the story of Shango, Oya, and Oshun, you're reading the same story when dealing with Set, Nephthys, and Aset. You understand? You're reading the same story. It's just different culture, different language, different tradition. So where we get thrown off, we got to get locked in our mind. There was not just one Shango. This is why in the Ifa tradition, all the Orishis have multiple paths. Right? It's not one path. There's not one Ra. That's why there's triads of Atum. There's different gnomes. There wasn't just one Set. There wasn't just one Usia or Osiris. All that is a title. And there were many incarnations of Osiris. When an individual raised himself up to a certain level of knowledge, they took on and became an Usir, or Osiris, or a Heru. We get stuck because we read the shit literally, and we make it religion because we say there was only one Set, there was only one Horus. That's not true. That's why they were called pharaohs, took the name Seti. Any pharaoh that took the name Seti was a priest or embodied the aspect of what Set consciousness represented. So they became Set. This is why anybody that has Re or Ra on the end of their name, not everybody, because everybody carries that title now today like it's fucking, it's a fad. You should never take a name if it doesn't suit your personality and you embody the characteristics and personality of that name. And I've said this before, I mentioned this in the old classes over there. This is why people would always come up to me, that hadn't seen me years ago. Why has your name changed 4 or 5 times in 25 years? That's because when you start getting to a certain level of information, you study under certain elders, you take on a title. It's just a title. That is constantly changing. But your real sacred name is not a physical title. You follow what I'm saying? Your sacred name is what you vibrate on, your frequency that you vibrate on, which in turn connects you to everything that we're talking about. Right? We talk about in the sacred wisdom of Tahuti, tones, frequencies, and vibrations. The energy that's worked in these rituals is what's communicated to you to give you, you could call it your sacred name or your real self, to answer your question. What is my real and true self? Well, how are you going to be raised to the awareness of that? One, like I said earlier, the signs are there by not getting the results.
Just caught something.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
No,
You know
go
that
ahead.
story of Aset and Ra, right? You got the semen on that.
The sacred word?
Yeah,
When she stole the sacred name.
It was through wasn't it the part it was through the seeds one there, like the spit, or was it like on
She used his saliva.
right?
She used
So
bodily
it's like-
fluids.
So I thought about that and I was like, okay, we think about that kind of ties into like you think about somebody do like sex magic or whatever. You
Yeah.
kind of tap into like control them, like tapping into that shit too. It's like, okay, I see what I'm saying. Like I just caught that.
Correct.
Right
But also, Cass, this, I'm glad you bring that up.
there. Yeah.
Why does everybody present Aset or Isis as this
They're not
compassionate, holy or thou figure?
They're smart as
She
fuck.
was slick and conniving. She
Yeah.
did some low down, dirty shit.
Yeah.
But she had the right to, because if we as men feel like we have the right to know the sacred name, why shouldn't she be able to get it as a female? What makes us Because men will go, that's messed up. She was, compared to the shit we've done throughout the course of history, and really what gives her, why is she not entitled to know that secret information? Because
now you think some men are afraid of a woman who have full capability? Because she's really being what she really is, you know.
men fear any woman.
Doors are reversed now.
Uh-huh.
That's what happened.
Men fear any woman that's spiritually stronger than them. They're intimidated by it. I don't give a shit what anybody says. Because again, another part of mental slavery is, even in the conscious community, let's keep it real, it's always this, you know, the woman, you know, she's always got to be this docile, she obeys, good wife, a good house taker, and that's great, but that's not all. But you always see these, but that's my queen, and you know, the men, and then I always look at these, I gotta put it the best way, I don't want to offend nobody, but I gotta say what it is.
100.
I see these couples that are so-called conscious, and you know, they might be in this old natural vibe, and they're vegan, and they're in tune with the earth, and everything is mother earth, the black man is God, the black woman is queen. Then when I look past the facade, I really see they use that because, one, they're piss broke, they ain't got no damn money, and the reason why they're picking, you know, apples and coconuts off the tree because they can't afford to take their woman to a restaurant for a good meal. So a lot of them hide in consciousness because it's an escape from not being successful. This is a reality, I'm telling you. I see this shit for many years. They use this fake facade, and they use this whole spiritual thing, you know, it's about, no, everything in the world is bad. Shouldn't do that, shouldn't watch that, shouldn't go to movies, you shouldn't do that. Look, let me tell you something, man. Reality is this. If you're not living on your own land, growing your own food, void from the world, you're not in tune with any type of media or connection, you're still part of the system. If you got a damn social security number, and you're sitting there talking all that shit, then you're going to leave here and go to a gas station and put gas in your car, and then you're going to go into the grocery store and buy something, you're still part of the system.
Nah, brother, I'm pimping the system.
Yeah, whatever. Call it whatever you want. I'm just saying, let's keep it 100% real. Let's stop fronting with ourselves. See, all of that is a facade, again, not to address the real self.
One of the things I realize, people love to be catered to.
Of course.
They don't like to experience the hard stuff or face the reality that is true within themselves. Anytime they face that, they try to shy away and answer that responsibility onto someone else.
Correct.
So they now become the problem. And instead of looking at this and saying, well, okay, this is something I need to confront. This is necessary. Let me embrace this as mine and take responsibility for whatever comes with it. You don't want to do that.
Correct. But you know there's old saying. My mother used to say, you hear it all the time. You hear it on shows, media, cats, for everybody's easy come, easy go. Everybody wants everything fast. That's why I said what I said earlier in the beginning of the class. Most people on this path, I'm not gonna give names. I get contacted by people with the stupidest shit. You don't even want to know the gripes and the complaints, and it's not. The gripes and the complaints is because the shit ain't going their way. And people forget one thing on this path. You take full responsibility when things go good, and you also take full responsibility when things ain't going your way. So now the question is, why are things not going your way? You understand? Don't blame everybody. I'm not talking about mundane shit you can't control. I'm not talking about if you get sick. You know what I'm saying? I'm not talking about if you lose $50 out of your pocket. I'm not talking about that. That's shit that just naturally happens. I'm talking about you come into a path, you set an expectation, but you don't want to work for that expectation. You understand what I'm saying? You come in thinking, oh man, I'm going to do this, and I read this in a book, and I'm going to go do these rituals, and all of a sudden, that's it. I'm going to be this warlock, sorcerer, magician, that I have all this power. But then they find out when they do that, and it's not what they thought, then all of a sudden, there's not a problem with them, it's a problem with something else, or something outside of them. That's basically what you're saying in a nutshell. I want to know they don't want to take the responsibility. They don't want to embrace it for what it is. Because everything that happens for a reason. And I don't say that spooky. I say that because sometimes things that happen that we might define as being bad or negative might be pertinent for our growth or change. But we don't look at it like that. We always embrace it as somebody's out to get me. Somebody's doing something to me. You understand? Or everybody's, or the person at the job. I used to know a sister that used to come to me all the time for consultations. Everybody was out to get her at a job. She couldn't stay at a job because she always used to run her mouth and get caught in gossip, right? But then when she got caught in the gossip and the talking and the slandering, she would get fired. Then it was, people set me up. No, you set yourself up. I literally had to tell her, get to the point and tell her, if you would just shut the fuck up and work and do your job and go home, you wouldn't have this problem. And that's not what she wanted to hear. She wanted to hear, you're spiritual and special. See, they see a special energy in you, and they're attacking you, sister. No, because she's arrogant, she has a big mouth, and she doesn't know when to shut the fuck up.
How do you tell somebody that it's them without opinion?
Well, you try first. You always want to try the correct way, but some people you can't do it. Just very calm. I mean, always try the right way, quote unquote, whatever that is.
The right way?
There is no, that's what I'm saying.
That's
why I say quote unquote.
Like,
try to do it the less aggressive way, to me, is what I'm saying. If you can relate it at first without having to get a little aggressive and nasty, some people will, because some people will grab it. But if that don't work, sometimes you just can't cut no corners. You just got to come straight out and say, look, this is the problem. Because I said this before. I say this when I get other clients that come to me about doing love work because they want to get a person back. This kills me. I always ask the one question. I've said this before a few times. Why do you want that person back? Why do you want somebody back that doesn't want you? If you give me a legitimate answer, then we can go to work. I'll do it, but I don't like doing it because I hate to watch a person suffer. I hate to watch a person want to bring somebody back that don't want them. Why do you want that person? It just doesn't make sense to me. You're prolonging your misery. You're getting ready to you're getting ready to die a mental and spiritual death that has to happen for you to evolve, but you're preventing it. That's what I mean. You're preventing your misery. So you want to stay in a stagnated situation where you're mentally, emotionally, and spiritually dead, and you're at the beckoning mercy of somebody else. And I've watched it. People, you'll do work, they'll come back.
I'll give you that cooling down song. This is my head right now. You need to cool it down.
What, New Edition?
Yeah.
Cool it down?
Yeah.
Was you doing the moves and shit?
Yeah.
But I never grasped that. And I've always, fortunately, I've never been the type of person, whether it's male or female, if a relationship has run its course, I'm talking about we could be boys, but if some stupid shit goes down and it's not, I can cut it off just like that with no problem and not even look back. You understand? I'm talking about relationships in general. That's the way you're supposed to approach it because you got to shed the dead weight. Yeah. You can't get caught up in, is this person like, look, first and foremost, let me say this is very important to understand. If you have no enemies, something is wrong with you. If everybody loves you and think you're the greatest person in the world, something's wrong with you. Okay? If you're somebody that's constantly got to do work to fend off your enemies, then you're a fucked up person. Okay? If you can't think of one person to bless or you want to bless everybody, you're even more fucked up. What I mean by that is this. You should have consistent enemies that you have to keep at bay. That means you're doing something right. You should also have consistent people that you want to send blessings to and positive energy, because that means you do have friends and you do attract a different element. So there's that fine line in between. But if you're a person that's constantly fending off enemies 24/7, you better check yourself. Something not right with you.
You're doing some messed up shit.
And if everybody loves you and thinks you're the greatest thing, then you're a sucker. You're weak. And people mistake your kindness for weakness. What I'm saying is it's a fine line in between. Figure out where your niche is there. So I already know when somebody comes to me and it's always the same shit, I need to do something to get somebody. You've been doing this for 5 years. You don't see something wrong with this? Now I'll do it. Look, if you want to do it, we could do it. But if you also want to know why it keeps reoccurring every 6 months to a year, this is why. And it's the same thing when you do love work for people, or relationship work, whatever you want to call it. They want to come and do a ritual because their husband left them or their wife left them, and you know they just walked out on them or whatever, and they started their own life or whatever, or got some other chick pregnant, and they want to disrupt that, destroy all that, and create more confusion, and try to bring the person back to them. So now, the person, or you already had the confusion when the person left you. Now you're taking that, because I tell them, no, know this, you're taking that added confusion on in addition to what was there. You do understand that. That part they don't. So, I know we kind of went off a little bit to right field. On your question, how do you tell somebody? You just got to feel them out. What does the moment call for? If you feel like they're more of a reasonable person, they maybe have a demeanor that's a little more cool and collective, so you might just be able to come out and be like, yo, look, man, you know, a little more low-key, like, look, man, you know, I think just word of advice, blah, 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 blah. And they might go, yeah, you know what, Jason, I appreciate you telling me that, man. You know what, I'm going to try that. That's the person, probably the 5th percentile, that's the person that might take it smooth. Then there's that hard-headed person that just, I mean, you can just tell them and tell them, and keep telling them, and they keep making the same mistake, and then you just got to go, man, what the fuck is wrong with you? Look, can't you see that you're bugging? So I would just gauge it by the person you're dealing with, and their demeanor, and their personality. Are they aggressive? Are they so combative that you can't tell them something? That's the person you just got to get straight to the point with, and not have no emotions about it. Now they're gonna get emotional, but you just got to shut the shit down from jump. Be like, look, I don't really care. Well, I'm about to tell you something. I don't really care if it upsets you or gets you mad, but it's something you need to know. This is the deal. You take it for what you want. It's not personal, it's what it is. You just got to come at them like that. That's the only way. It's the only way I know. So I can only tell you what I know or how I would do it. Now, you might have some other people that want to approach you. No. See, we have to communicate. You know, we have to sit there and we have to come to some type of agreement. You can't do that with everybody. That's not a reality. Because by nature, some people are combative. By nature, some people are put on this planet to cause problems. Let me give you an example. It's always that person, it's always too cold in the room. It's too warm. Or, you know, they always find, they never see the good in anything. Like if kids make a mess, they're more focused on the mess that the kids made. Right? They're more focused on, look at them. The kids might have did a project. They're not focused on the good thing, the kids making the effort to do it or carrying a project out. They're more complaining about, oh, but look at the mess that they made. But they're kids. Of course they're going to make a mess. You understand? Or it's that person that always pulls you aside and got some story to tell you about somebody. And I always tell that person, hold on, if that person's not here, I don't want to talk about them. If we have something to discuss, that person should be here to speak for themselves. That's the person you got to watch out for. They always got secrets. They always want to pull you aside. Hey, can I talk to you for a minute? Let's go outside. Why the fuck we got to go outside? Why can't we talk right here? Because that's the person that's got an agenda. They want to plant something in your head, and they're trying to create sides. You understand? So I'm bringing this all up because these are your people that play the victim role all the time. You understand? We unfortunately deal with a lot of people on a daily basis that play the role of the victim. You understand? Like the protest thing. We're letting now, and I said this and I still haven't gotten an answer from nobody. I did a video last time, I got some emails, and I did it intentionally because I knew I was going to get some emails. Where is Black Lives Matter in the Caribbean now? With the hurricane ripping through there, destroying people. How come Black Lives Matter are not mobilizing and saying we need to go over there and volunteer our services to all those melanated people in the Caribbean, Dominica, St. Thomas, St. Croix, not just Puerto Rico. Now, there's an extent. They're focusing on Puerto Rico because Puerto Rico, I'm going to keep it real, they're not 100% black. I'm going to keep it 100% real for you. And there's more of a financial interest in Puerto Rico than there is. St. Thomas got destroyed, and nobody's talking about it.
Not a word.
Not a word.
Not a word.
You understand this? My question is, where's Black Lives Matter?
Right.
That's why I say I don't support that shit. It's created by the Jews, just like the NAACP is and the Rainbow Push Coalition. All started and funded by Jews.
You know what I noticed with it? Because they started to send me some messages through Facebook. It's a conditioning. They're trying to get your mind conditioned into this hate You know, and, you know, it's you against the adversary.
You know what the adversary, stop you for a minute. You know what the adversary means, right?
Yeah.
Adversary is what the word Satan means.
Well,
But not in a bad way. I'm saying, when you say you're a Satanist, and I'm not talking about modern day Satanists, got the shit all twisted. The word Satan means adversary. Means you're just adverse. You're not a conformist. You do not conform to the norm. That's all. Satan is not some fucking dude on a pitchfork on a hot sauce bottle with horns. That's all mythology that created it around that character. But anyway, go ahead. I just thought it was, you said the word adversary.
This is what I noticed, is that they will push things to you to show you how, you know, how great black people are, and great, and at the same time they push something to you to show you know how they're messing us up. So I've been observing it for a while before I just shut it down.
Right.
You know, and then it's okay. You know what? I'm going to shut this whole thing down.
Well, let me tell you.
It doesn't make sense.
Let me tell you what their plan was. When Obama got elected, and I've said this before, black people thought their problems was over. They were celebrating, jumping up and down, Obama for your mama, hitting I was in New York when he officially won again, hitting the pots and pans, dancing around. And I had a surreal moment at that time. It's like I stepped out of my body and I was watching this from outside, and I just saw a bunch of buffoons and clowns, like they fell for the sucker punch. Because what they did was, George Bush fucked this country up so bad that they knew there was going to be some serious unrest if they didn't throw you a token black president. They had to do it. You understand? I'm not saying Obama didn't do some good things. That's not what I'm saying. They had to give you somebody for 8 years to keep you down, calm, because they was afraid. There was an uprising getting ready to happen. So now let me tell you what they're getting ready to do. So now you had your 8 years. They threw something at you even worse than George Bush. Now you got Donald Trump, the biggest king of the jackasses, right? Now you got him, and what they're trying to do, everything that's going on in the media with the football protests, Donald Trump, it's always centered around race. Everything. They're trying to start a race war is what they're getting ready to try to do.
That's what it looks like to me too.
Yeah. They're trying to create, like you said, the separation so they can bring in their real agenda, martial law.
Yep.
This is something people have talked about this for many years.
That's what it looks like.
And that's what they're doing.
They have talked. They said it was coming.
Yeah. And this is what's going on now.
Set up.
Look at the big picture. It's not about Donald Trump. It's not about Obama. It's not about the flag. They're using all of these things. There's still people. I mean, some of these white folks are so hateful. They're still talking about Obama, and he's been gone for a year. And they're still talking about some shit that, it's like the man's retired, he's done.
Yes. All about his business.
About his business.
What's going on with his family.
And they're still in Congress trying to reform all these bills that because that's how much they hate him. That's how much the hate is.
Don't go, today's news was, don't go to Cuba. Do not go, 12 senators, 12 whoever got sick. Stay out of Cuba, and if you're in Cuba now, get back home as quick as you can.
That's crazy.
Because Cuba has, almost without saying, they're going to poison you or whatever. So if you got plans to go to Cuba, turn your tickets in and see where else you can go. But don't go to Cuba. I knew they were going to shut Cuba down. And as soon as Trump got in there, he was going to reverse us going to Cuba to visit.
Well, he
I
said
knew that was happening.
And I find that.
I'm trying to get over it as fast as I can because Trump is going to shut that down.
Exactly.
Anything Obama did, he's going to reverse everything.
And
you can just see it every day.
I find that funny that comes out because, like you say, just a couple of months ago, one of the things on his agenda was he didn't agree with that whole agreement that Obama worked out with Cuba. He wants to change it, give them sanctions again.
Yes. He
So-
wants to give them sanctions again. Can you believe that?
It's crazy. People got to look at the overall big picture. But where we get lost in the shuffle, we're caught up in the race thing. And at the end of the day, I'm gonna tell you this: some people gonna find this out the hard way. At the end of the day, it's not really about black, white, Latino. They promote it as that. The media's job is to put it out there like that, like you said, to create that hate.
Yep.
So now we start hating on this person. We start hating that person. We start hating the privileged person. because we think that it's targeted towards us only. But one thing I've learned, and I've seen it in all circles, white folks don't even give a fuck about their own.
They don't.
And they'll step on their own, backstab their
You see it
own.
all day long.
You see it all day
I
long.
just said that yesterday.
Yeah.
They don't
They
even,
don't.
yeah, if they gonna walk on their own,
What do you
all
think
day,
you-
always have.
And they're
If they walk on their own people.
Big time.
Can't trust it.
Always have.
That's
Yes, it's clear as a bell.
and for those that know me, you know, going back before Obama, I've been saying this since day one. What they getting ready to do, Dr. Delbert Blair. You remember when I had Dr. Delbert Blair on the show? And in my many conversations with him, and I talked a lot with him before he passed away, one thing he used to always tell me, and he says it on some of his shows, he says the one thing that's going to destroy us, he says if we can't get past this race thing, we're all going to he said we're all going to perish, because he said it's bigger than that. And he used to catch flack from a lot of black leaders like Phil Valentine. Here's the thing, since he's passed away, when you mention Dr. Delbert Blair in some circles, it's like taboo. People don't want to, because he would talk about certain things nobody wanted to talk about. Now, I don't agree with everything that he taught. I know he believed he was a telepathic communicator with extraterrestrials. Maybe he was. I can't say he was or he wasn't. But that's personal. So I do believe he was in tune with something because he was intelligent, and there was shit he would drop would just blow my mind. But one thing he used to always stress, and when he got sick towards the end, and I think I've shared this with some of you, I wouldn't call him just for information and knowledge. Because one thing I learned about him, sometimes he just wanted people to call him, how you doing, how you feel? You know, not like people always want to call because they want to, like a sponge, they want to suck something from you. They want to, drop some secret jewel on me, you know what I mean? But when I knew when he wasn't well towards the end, I would just call him just to, hey, what's going on, man? How's the weather? It's bullshit talk. You know what I mean? Because it's not always about that. It's the same. I start to realize it now, and I tell her this all the time. I get so tired of people calling me because it's always, yeah, I had this experience, blah, blah, blah. And you know what I mean? And I'm just like, what do you think? I sit around 24 hours a day and meditate and study and read? You don't think I watch movies, sports, go out to eat, hang out, do fun shit?
Yeah, I would say this, Dr. Tez, I knew for over 10 years, you've been dealing with that for a long time. It's not like new. This is something
It's
new
crazy.
for a long time.
It's crazy. I can pull up the emails right now and you'll crack up some of the stories. I told him I tapped into Candle Magic. No, I'm not saying it on the camera because other person could be watching this. But just the dumbest shit. It's just like, to me, that's a sign you're trying to escape from something. Bottom line is this. We're going to finish up with this. We got like 7 minutes. I'm going to make this hour. We got 7 more minutes. Bottom line is this. Never get so engrossed in the spiritual aspect of things that you lose sight of everyday reality. Bottom line is this. Okay, how spiritual and deep. Your bills still got to get paid. Your family still got to be taken care of.
That's what I'm saying.
You understand?
We're talking about at the show, I think. I'm realizing now people need to prioritize their lives.
Thank you.
That's like, if people just prioritize what's really important in their lives, they won't go through half the trouble they go through. You know what I'm saying?
Because that's the problem. You're running. We all know it. Me and you know, we joke around about this all the time. We either know dudes that are so spiritual and deep that all they do is they meditate, and they do they, like you say, they vegan and they do all these spiritual exercises, but then we look at their everyday life and it's a mess. They're not making no money, they got family problems, etc. Then it's vice versa. I know many people that are so successful financially, they got all the things they want, all the money, but they're miserable. They either go to doing dope and drugs because they got so much money, they don't know what to do with it. Because they have no spiritual connection to anything. There's no spirituality in their life. So it's just like, if you conquer all of your everyday physical problems, what's the mind going to start to do? Now it's like, okay, I got the nice house, I got cars, I got a good business, I'm making money every day. Now the mind is idle. It's looking for something to entertain it.
That's why I love them getting the drugs.
Yeah. So it's like, where do I go from here now? What do I do? Where do I go? So now I'm just going to start doing stupid shit if I'm not a person that's in tune with who they really are and have and connected to my real spirituality. I say mine because everybody's different. It's not the same thing for everybody. This is why organized dogmas, philosophies, religions don't work. Because people get to a certain point in them where they feel like they're not growing, or they're not getting out of it what they need, or they feel restricted. So they leave and then they go to something else, and then that don't work, then they go to something else. The beauty on this path is you don't have to go anywhere because you can do all those things and then some. Because you go into all those areas, you take out of it what works for you. The rest of the shit you leave alone. See, I can read the Bible front to back and take out of it what applies and just leave the other bullshit there. See, a Christian will hear something like that and go, oh my God, that's so evil. That's bad. No, it's not. That's called being a God. That's how you become a God. Because I can detect the man-made bullshit and the shit that you stole from other places that have been around for years. So I know what's bullshit and I know what's legit. It's that simple. But that's a good question you asked earlier. How can I be aware of what my true self is? And hopefully that taps on it. But other than that, anybody have any other questions about the ritual? Everybody good? All right, so we're gonna leave it at that. Next month, we'll get together on that. That ritual is a little more lengthy, a little more in depth. It takes a little more preparation. We actually have to use the whole room for that. I was going to ask you, do you have a date in October at the end of the month available?
Sure.
Ricky, just look and let me know.
I can.
Yeah, when you get a chance. All right, so that's it. We're gonna wrap it up. Time to grub.